Hi, I'm Tracy, and here's my story of trying to be perfect. I spent the first 20 years of my life working really hard at that, of being the perfect, you fill in the blank. The president of the senior class, the full ride scholarship recipient, the one everyone's parents said, you should be more like her, the one who married the guy in ministry, the one who was going to be the perfect wife and mother, the one who checked all the boxes and jumped through all the hoops. And as far as a relationship with God goes, I thought I had that down. I knew the Bible, I read it, I tried to live it, and I judged you quietly and politely if you didn't. Do better, work harder, that pleases God. That's what I thought. That's how I thought it worked. I think looking back, I was really trying to follow Jesus. The key word is trying there. It was all about me and how good I was. And that was empty. This was not what I wanted out of my life. What I wanted is what we all want, what we all long for. Joy, love, peace, and meaning. It turns out that perfect wasn't perfect. It was just exhausting and it was fake. And one day, I'd had enough and I quit. The next 10 years, I lived my life going the other way, pleasing only me, and all that youth imagine that entails. An unbelievable trail of destruction. An extramarital affair, a failed marriage and divorce, and many broken lives, including my own. In the middle of that mayhem that was my life, I met Algie, who's my husband. And I thought, here's a second chance to get it right, to do it all perfectly. This marriage, this love is going to make me happy, bring meaning to my life. And because of these enormous expectations, our brand new baby marriage of 3 months almost blew up. And I would have left, except I couldn't bear the thought of failing again. Out of this, I found myself sitting on the porch of our little apartment in Jacksonville, Florida one night, and for the first time in 10 years, I prayed. I remembered thinking, I wonder if Jesus would have me back after all I'd done, after who I'd become. But I decided to give it a shot, because how I was living wasn't working. The next day, I talked to Algie about this, and I asked him to go to church with me. I think he thought I was crazy. He agreed, and we found a place and started going. I wanted to jump right in to be part of this church. I can remember sitting in the church thinking, if they actually knew me and knew my story, they wouldn't accept me. And so I hid. I lapsed right back into the need to be perfect, that same old song and dance. There was this woman that went to this church. Her name was Carolyn, and she worked with women's ministry. And out of sheer desperation, I reached out to her, hoping for some help, answers. And I told her the whole sordid story about how I was feeling so ruined, so guilty. And I remember she asked me this, do you think your sin is bigger than Jesus' love? Are your mistakes, your failures so big that they are beyond the capacity of God to forgive? Turns out that I was still trying to clean myself up, to be good enough, to measure up in order to earn God's love. The same old striving and trying to be perfect. I needed to put down my guilt, my shame, and that day I realized that it didn't matter how jacked up I was or thought I was. And likewise, it didn't matter how perfect I thought I was. The perfect me would like to tell you that since that day I've lived happily ever after. But that's not the case. There are still so many failures, and so many times as a parent, a wife, a woman, that I lapse back into that need to be perfect, to measure myself by a false standard set by them, or worse still, by me. And here's the verse I live by every day. Lamentations 3:21-23 says, Yet hope returns when I remember the one thing. The Lord's unfailing love and mercy still continue, fresh as the morning, as sure as the sunrise.